Hi everyone. This is Priya Vashne and I welcome you all to a new session. In this video, we are going to learn about Sophist versus Socratic tradition. So just like allegory of caves, Plato's allegory of cave, this is one of the milestone topic which you should understand in order to gain proper understanding of Plato's theory of ideas, right? So if you have not understood the concept of allegory of caves, then I'll request you to please go through that video before going through the Plato's theory of idea, right? Okay. Now, so let's start. So in this video, what we are going to do is we are going to contrast the views of Sophists and the Socrates, right? We all know that Socrates was the teacher of Plato. Therefore, it is very much obvious that Plato has a lot influence of the Socrates thoughts on him, right? So, if you have not gone through the video which I have made on Socrates, then again the link is in the description. You can go through that video. Okay, now coming back to the topic. Now, as I said that I'm going to talk about Sophists and Socratic tradition. So it is very much important to know that who were Sophists. So basically, the Sophist uh, word, the term Sophism, right? The term Sophism, it actually comes from the term Sophism, which actually comes from the word Sophia, which means knowledge, which means knowledge. Right? So, who were sophists? Sophists can be considered as the first political educationist. First political educationist or first political teachers. Right. So, what do I mean when I say that political teachers or political educationists? So, basically, they were the people who were imparting education to the ruling class at that time. So, as we all know, that Plato belongs to Athens, right? So, Plato belongs to Athens. Now, what was the situation in Athens was basically what was the situation of education in Athens? So, basically, education was privatized at that time. Education was privatized, and when I'm saying that it was privatized, then it is very much obvious that it was a kind of, you can say that people who have money were able to afford it, right? Because people who don't have money cannot afford it. It's very obvious, right? So uh, basically education was the privilege of the rich, right? So these sophists, what they were doing is they were charging money for education, because of now they were charging money. So since they were teacher, teaching was their core profession, so this was the whole source of money for them, right? So because, so for their livelihood, these sophists dependent on their profession, right? So they were actually dependent on the rich, because only rich people can afford it. So what sophists did was they defined good life. They defined good life in terms of money and power. Money and power, right? So according to sophists, money and power is the source of good life, right? So they were, since they believe and they were teaching that money and power are the source of good life, therefore, what they will actually teach? They were teaching people how to come to power and how to earn money, how to earn more and more money, right? And how to come to power. So what they were teaching is that how to come to power. That's why I said that they were political teachers or political educators, because who will come to power? Whoever will come to power will form the ruling class. Is it clear? Okay. So, according to sophists, what type of knowledge ruling class should possess? Because they were actually teaching how to come to power, right? How to come to power. So obviously they have also defined that okay, in order to come to power, what kind of knowledge you should possess or the ruling class should possess. So what they say is the ruling class should possess the oratory skills, okay, which means the ability to influence the public opinion. So this was the brief introduction about sophists. There is a lot to learn about sophists, but that is not important from the exam point of view. You just need to know basics about the sophists, and I hope that you are very clear with it, right? Okay. Now coming to the main topic. Now, let us understand the Socrates' views on sophists. What Socrates think about these sophists. So, according to Socrates, sophists were not doing justice with their profession. Right? What Socrates says is, what Socrates says is that these people are not doing justice with their profession. What was their profession? Their profession was teaching, right? So, what he says is that you are a teacher. Sophist as a teacher, and being a teacher, right? What is the responsibility of the teacher? Responsibility of the teacher is to tell the truth, right? So the responsibility of the teacher is to tell the truth. Means it is not the responsibility of the teacher is to tell what one should hear, what one should hear, and not one one should one wants to hear. See, everyone uh, likes compliments, right? So what happens is when sophists were teaching these people, so obviously they were rich people, and what they were saying that okay, money is the only source of happiness. Money is the source of good life. What sophists were telling to those people at that time. So what Socrates says that hey sophists, you are not doing justice with your professions. Why? Because you are a teacher, and being a teacher is your responsibility to tell the truth to the people. So you should tell what one should hear and not what one wants to hear. So according to Socrates, ruling class need to have the real knowledge. Ruling class need to have the real knowledge. So it is not enough to know how to come to power. It is also important to understand what is the duty of the ruling class. So as I said, as I explained to you, that what they were telling, they were actually explaining how to come to power, right? They were actually explaining how to come to power. Now what Socrates is saying that okay, you are telling them how to come to power, it's okay, but um, it is not enough, right? You should also tell them that after coming to the power, what are your duties? You should also tell them you should also tell the duties of the ruling class, right? Okay. So, if so, according to Socrates, if sophists think that money and power is the source of good life, then he again says that it may be because they are ignorant. They may be ignorant of what constitutes a good life. So we have already discussed everything about Socrates in the first video. I again request you to go through that video. Then you will understand the beauty of this statement, right? Okay. So let me just summarize everything for you. What we have learned about Sophists and Socratic is, so let me just create a just different, okay. So what first thing sophists say is sophists are materialists, right? They are materialists. Why? Because they believe that money and power is the source of good life. Who was Socrates? So Socrates was idealist. He was idealist. Why? Because he believed, he preferred ideas or values more than the material things. He, for example, honesty is preferable to money earned by unfair means for Socrates, right? Second, sophists were realist. They were realist. Why realist? Because they believe that what is should determine what ought to be. That what is should determine what ought to be, right? While Socrates was idealist, right? So what idealist people do is that ought should not be determined by what is. Rather, we should try to shape what is on the basis of what ought to be. Ought should not be determined from what is. Rather, we should try to frame, or we should try to shape what is basis on what ought to be. Is it clear? Okay. Third thing which is important about them is, for sophists, individual is an end. Sorry. Individual is an end in itself. While for Socrates, society is far more important than the individual. Right? So for them, society is an end in itself and not the individual. So again, as I said, what does this mean? This means that part is prior to the whole for them, while for these people, whole is prior to the part. To the part. Right? Now, last point is, so this was the fourth point, and fifth point was society is conventional. For them, society is conventional or creation of humans. Right? So society, see, everyone knows that whenever we say that individual is an end in itself, or when we give priority to the part, then it itself implies that the importance of citizens is far more important, because citizens are basically forming the society, right? For these kind of people. So they think that society is conventional, or this is the creation of humans, while what Socrates think is that for these people, or what people belonging to Socratic tradition feel, think is that man is by nature a social animal, right? Man is by nature a social animal, hence society is natural. Society is natural, and for them society is conventional. Okay, so we are good to go. This is all with what I wanted you to know about Sophists and Socrates. Now I think you are in a good position to understand Plato's theory of ideas. So in the next video we're going to cover that. Okay, so thanks a lot for your time, and if you like the video, then please share and subscribe, and please share it with your friends. Thanks a lot. Take care.